All right, this is going to be for one of our skill sets, and we're going to be utilizing the beach house for that. And one of the questions that you're going to run across maybe will be how to identify certain objects. And as I mentioned before, that everything has a property to it. So you're going to run into some that's going to ask for uh, to identify an entourage. So in this case, I'll have a male figure, which is Dwayne, and you'll see that in the properties up here. If we zoom in a little bit closer, we have a female, which is Kathy. And we have a female, which is Indian. All right, so this is a beach house that we did a few years ago. And we're going to add some interior elevations to it. So as you see, there's already a few on here. So you got 1A, you got 1D, 1A over here somewhere, 1C, 2A, and so forth. So we're going to be adding interior elevations to our kitchen. So in order to do that, we're going to be going to View and Elevation. And we're going to change this to an interior elevation if it's not already on that. It may be because we used it the last time. So when you have the little bubble here, you're going to select the little bubble or make sure the little bubble is pointing at one of the walls. And since east comes first, I'm going to go ahead and point it at the east elevation first. All right, now you don't need to necessarily create another bubble for the west. So we're just simply going to click on that and we're going to find the check mark and put a check in that, and we're going to get another black tip arrow on this. So elevation 1C, I'm sorry, 1A, it appears to be 1C, will be our kitchen elevations. Not sure what happened to be, but we won't worry about that one. But whichever they become, we're going to go here to elevations interior. And we're going to double click and we're going to find them. All right, so what we're going to do is rename them. So we're going to right mouse click, click on rename, and we're going to be renaming this one kitchen. East. And we would do elevation for the word too. Well, we can. Sometimes it gets a little long. Sometimes it's good to abbreviate. And it's also good sometimes to be able to find the mouse if you make changes to things. All right, so that changed the name of it. Then we got elevation 1C. And I'm going to right mouse click. And we want to rename those. So this will be kitchen. This elevation. I'm going to click on that. And so this one is actually missing a range hood. So if you want to put a range hood in, you could easily do so. And that's on our component. So let's do that just to kind of refresh your memory. So we're going to click on component, load family. We're going to go into specialty equipment. Domestic, high end, and then we're going to choose the one that is attached to the wall. So it'll be hood wall. We're going to hit OK. because this is in a plan view, an elevation view, we can't really see where it's going. So we got to go back to level 1 to do this. And we're just going to go back to component, and it's going to select it. And I'm going to hit the space bar to spin it around. And then I'm going to change the size from a 33 to a 30. So we'll scale it down a little bit. It doesn't need to be huge. I'm going to put it against this wall. All right, so as you see, our design is kind of cluttered. There's a lot going on here. All right, so you know what? Hold on for a second. I did something I should have did differently here. All right, what I should have did was show you how to use the align tool. So I'm gonna move this back out here. All right, so align, go to modify, click on align tool, select the host first, then select what's coming to the host. So basically you choose who's hosting, and then you choose who's visiting. That's a good way of looking at it. And this one might prove to be a little bit bigger than what we need it to be. So we're just going to kind of inch it up a little bit. Even though it's a 30-inch, I think we only have a 24-inch stove, so we got a little overlap in that. But we're not going to spend a lot of time trying to fix that. So we're just going to go back to our west elevation and kind of see what it looks like. All right, so it is on the floor. So this is how you fix that. You're going to change the offset. Keep losing my mouse. All right. So this is in the way. It's a nice place for it, but our offset is here. So we're going to play with the numbers a little bit. So let's play with 5 feet. See how that looks. And then we're going to hit apply. And 5 feet proves to be a little bit too much, even though that is pretty much almost the standard of where it really should be. Let's lower it down a little bit. It's about 4'6" or 4'5". We're just going to change those numbers. Go ahead and apply. And actually, that's not too bad. You can probably stand to use another inch down, just so it's not blocking the cabinet doors. We'll zoom this in. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys on the keyboard to bump it down a ½ inch at a time. And I think that's good. So it's 4'3", maybe my final number. And we'll click off over to the side. All right, so that take care of that. Now you see how we have a handle? That's on the opposite side here. Sometimes it's good just to face the handle, let handles face each other. So we're gonna flip this cabinet by using the spacebar key. So hopefully it didn't detach itself from the wall, but I don't think that it did because cabinets don't do that. All right, so that worked out. And of course, if you remember our detail level, on this particular view, find doesn't really do anything what really defines this view mostly is really sometimes it's just shaded. That kind of gives it a little bit more life. And you can also do realistic. All right, so we're going to be placing these on a sheet, and you'll be turning these two in. You won't have to do any call outs or anything. Yeah, I think I'll leave it on shaded. All right, so this is another one of our skill sets. We're going to be creating a sheet, an additional sheet for this. So it looks like we don't have any right now at all. We're going to be loading a sheet. I think because this is probably a backup file that I've used. So let's go with a 17 by 22. And one of the questions on the test is they're gonna have something after loading the sheet, and they're gonna have something up here in this section right here where it says autodesk.com/Revit. It's gonna be something different. So you just have to simply answer that question as to what that is. All right, so in order to place views onto a sheet, we're gonna place the east first, and we're just gonna drag it out, and we're gonna click, and then we're gonna drag our west out. I'm gonna click. Now you notice how, oh man, that cannot be right. I can see the entire thing. I think I picked the wrong one. But actually, that's not a bad view. I'm not sure which one I just chose. Oh, elevation 2A. So we're actually going to leave 2A on the sheet. But we're going to go back and rename it. But we are going to still put this west elevation on here. All right, so if we take a look, it looks like our scales are at 1/4. And we got color on one and not on the other two. So there's two options. We can go back to the elevation view itself, or we can double click and then it activates that view. So it's just like us going back to one of the views over here. When you double click, it activates it. So we're going to change the scale to 1/2. And we're also going to change our color to shaded. And we're going to double click off to the side to deactivate that view. So I'm hoping that we'll get everything in on here on this one sheet. I think that we will. And we'll do the same with this one. So here all we got to do is really just change the scale to 1/2. And we'll double click off to the side, see what that looks like. Now, this how we're just kind of running out of room here. If we was using the sheet set, if we were on the first sheet or so, we can easily change this. So what I'm gonna do is actually, well, I'm gonna try to arrange it first before I do that, just not to take up too much time. All right. So we don't have enough room. So I tell you what, we're gonna delete that one. Well, let's keep it. Let's take let's go to our sheets, and we're gonna load a larger sheet. So we're gonna do new sheet. Then we're gonna do load. Title blocks. How many minutes we're on right now? 14. So I want to keep this on at 15 minutes. So we're gonna go with a larger sheet, which was my original thing I want to do anyway. All right. I'm gonna hit OK. Now it's gonna create a whole nother sheet. So it's gonna be actually sheet A102. But what we're gonna do with A101, we're gonna hit the drop down here. We're gonna click on the sheet, hit the drop down, and we're actually gonna change A101 to a 22 by 34, which is gonna make it a larger sheet. And we have enough room to arrange our views. And with our last view here, we're not only going to rename it, but we're also going to change the coloring. So there's elevation 2A. So that is this one. So I'm going to give it a shaded view. And actually, I guess for the scale, we can kind of leave the scale what it is at 1/4. So I'm not going to change the scale on that one. So that's more like a section view anyway. I don't want to make it too huge. If I really wanted to, I could take these two, line them up here to make more room. Then I could take this one. Then I can change the scale. So I think we'll do that. Okay, so that changes our scale. All right, so that's our skill set for that particular one. Owner. We might bring out Michaels. Project name. Beach House. Floor plan. Elevations. Interior elevations. Project number. We'll go with 004. Today's date. The issue date. 03/18. Sorry, 04. 4/18/22. Author. Your name. Checker. My name. Now you see how this doesn't really fit that well. So we might have to take out the word design and just leave it at beach house. And then it doesn't cover up everything. All right. So here we just print with too many minutes. Print as PDF. I'll come over to show you that if you don't know how to print as PDF. So we'll just make sure you just kind of balance these out. Make sure they're aligned real good, and then that'll be it. And I lost the mouse button again. There we go.